It will feel a little bit more unpredictable. If he was a dog, he'd be like probably a goofy golden retriever. Out comes like Peter Benson and his crew. I never had that opportunity to do something that completely out there in a Christmas movie. Completely dressed like Will Ferrell and Elf. A lot of very funny beats people will not be expecting.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Heart in Motion podcast. I'm so excited to welcome Jason Bourque back to the podcast. Thanks so much, Jason, for being here.
Hello, and thanks for having me back. I love doing podcasts and promoting my work.
Yeah, it was so good to talk to you. I think it was about 3 months ago. We were talking about Before Your Father Finds Us, which aired over on Lifetime back in June, I believe. So, and you teased a little bit that there was a Hallmark movie of the week coming our way, a Christmas movie, which is going to be airing this Saturday night. So I'm so excited to talk about it.
Yeah, this one is it's really funny. I mean, obviously having Kimberley Sustad, she's quick. I always find working with Kimberly, this is my second show with her. She's a bit of a cynical lone wolf at times.
Uh-huh.
Her comedy and she nails that. And Robert Buckley, I kind of was teasing him on set. He's sort of like if he was a dog, he'd be like probably a goofy golden retriever.
I was going to say a golden retriever.
He's just that guy. He gives off such warm vibes, and his comedy is different, and
Uh-huh.
and I'm not saying it's like oil and water or anything like that, but they just really complement each other actually, even though they are again very very different styles, but they work so beautifully together. So we had a very good time. It was an exceptional team up because both of them have incredible comedy instincts. There's obviously a romantic element to this, like most of these. But Rob actually brings to it a little bit more of this is old school, but John Ritter used to do this a lot more of from Three's Company. And there's some of these comedic actors that are very good at doing not slapstick per se, but it's sort of like doing like the pratfalls,
Yeah.
doing the physical comedy. And Robert has that ability. And because of that, this one also has a lot more stunts in it than usual. So again,
Well,
it's sort of like because he's basically a weatherman who, reunites with his high school crush and he's on vacation in his hometown, but he also has exceptionally bad luck. So when bad things happen to him, it's slipping off of slipping downstairs or getting hit in the face with the Christmas tree or falling off the step ladders and having decorations fall on him, like getting his eye poked multiple times. He went for it. So a lot of physical comedy in this one.
well, you gave us a great intro. We're talking about Merry Christmas, Ted Cooper, and I'm so excited to dig in about the movie. Can you tell us when you first learned about this movie? Because you've directed across multiple genres. What
Yes.
excited you about directing this movie?
It's funny when this one came up, I did like the idea that it's basically being driven by from a male perspective, which is a little different. I'm so used to these being with female leads, and Kimberly is usually my number one, and this one she's sort of like the number two.
Huh.
So I like that different perspective on it. I think Hallmark's done this a little bit, maybe with the groomsmen and obviously Three Wise Men and a Baby, that type of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, this one was very much driven by this weatherman that not kind of like a bit of a sanitized version of Will Ferrell, I guess, a little bit. You know what I mean? From the
Yeah,
Anchorman. But
yeah.
I love that small town weatherman approach and that type of a character. And yeah, I think that to me was very appealing. Doing something that was very much driven by this guy who loves Christmas so much, even though horrible things always happen to him. And I thought that was just very unique. By the way, this was also it came about because Robert Buckley, the lead, he actually pitched this to
Okay.
Hallmark and he developed it.
Yeah,
So I was working with Robert not just as my lead, but also as kind of like my boss. Like
yeah.
he's the executive producer, creatively very hands-on, much like Kimberly's like this as well, very collaborative. And it's very much a team effort pulling these off. So it was fun working with the my lead, who is also an exec,
So
and had a bit more pull with Hallmark.
that's something I noticed that Robert was an executive producer, and I definitely wanted to we always love, I mean, there's so many people that have to come together to bring
Yeah.
these movies to our screen. So how is it different when you're directing a movie where the lead is not only the lead, but also an executive producer?
I think for me, it allowed Robert to go to bat for certain things because he developed it. He wrote it with Russell Hainline.
Okay.
Russell, by the way, funny guy. He visited set. He wrote The Hot Frosty on Netflix.
Yes.
We all know it. Yeah,
Oh
The
yeah.
Hot Frosty. That thing got a lot of press. And he's also done a few other Hallmark movies I've been aware of. Extremely funny guy. So I found with this one, because we had so many comedy beats, some of which were they're not off color or risque or anything like that, but I like to think that they have a little bit more of a unique edge.
Yeah,
Uh, as an exec, Robert was able to fight for certain things,
got it.
and if it's something which feels like is that too much comedy? Do we pull back on it? He would be able to. He was empowered very much to, like, not that you have to put up a fight with Hallmark by any stretch, but just to push it a little bit. So when you watch the movie, it will feel a little bit more unpredictable. Not to say we're the bad boy of Christmas movies, but I like to think that the comedy is it's a little different.
I love
And
it.
again, it's just unpredictable, I think, is the way to look at it in a very good way.
So how do you I think I've counted when I looked at IMDb that you've done 12 Christmas movies, if I counted correctly. How do you, balance directing a movie that still holds to like the traditional feel good Christmas movie, but at the same time pushes new boundaries? And it sounds like maybe this one was like that.
Yeah, I think for me, I always look at very unique, creative things to explore, and I'm like an '80s kid, and you'll notice this one will have references, and I always work in my references to other movies. To keep it interesting, to give an example, like we have a Christmas escape room sequence,
Okay.
and Russell did a wonderful job writing it. But being an '80s kid, I sort of took it into a realm of almost like a Joe Dante Gremlins type thing, like where it's a little darker, completely wacky. It's actually I don't want to give too much away, but the Christmas escape room is like a sci-fi cyberpunk steampunk version of a toy shop, and it's crazy what they got to do when Robert and Kimberly get trapped into this thing. It's completely unique aesthetic, and it's like I said, you'll see some '80s references when you check it out. Like for me, it reminded me of almost like a I mentioned Joe Dante. He's like this director that did like Gremlins and Explorers and Inner Space and all this type of
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
I
Oh
really
yeah.
went to town on it, and I think the comedy aspect to it's quite funny. Yeah, it's almost like well, you got to see it. You got to see it. But that was for me, that was a highlight, I think, was this escape room that they get trapped into that almost has like a crazy sci-fi fantasy element to it that's pretty out there.
I love a good comedy from the 80s. So bring it back, right?
Yeah, yeah. So it's I'm always looking for those. Like when I read these scripts, it's if I find something that I kind of clamp onto, it's like what can I do to give it some unique spin?
Yeah.
And I had a wonderful production designer on this, Heather Coots. I've worked with her before. We worked together on Miss Christmas Comes to Town, which I did a couple years ago, which was like this one, hugely ambitious.
Yeah.
And yeah, this one, by the way, has also a giant gingerbread man. And I don't want to give away too much what happens to him, but we know that, again, Robert's character has a lot of bad luck. But yeah, I don't want to give too much away, but it's this thing is just huge, and it's also taking the usual, like we always have like these Christmas events as a centerpiece, but this one we try to make it a little more unique as well,
Got it.
with these giant gingerbread men that are being decorated. So yeah, anyway, I'm always looking at ways to have fun with it.
So you mentioned the script. When you read the script, was there something that immediately jumped out at you like, I have to make sure this happens in this movie? Was there some moment that really stood out to you like, I'm so excited to make this part happen?
It's I think part of the ambitiousness of the script is that a good chunk of it actually takes place in a hospital
Okay.
because Robert has such bad luck, his character, that he's always turning up at the hospital, and that's where Kimberly works, her character. So I knew that shutting down a hospital is obviously not in the cards. So we had to do a lot more set builds on this one.
Mhm.
And those scenes, and they're very intimate, funny scenes of just them alone in the examination room checking out his various injuries. That for me is really fun. I like those moments when you just have two incredible actors and they're great with the ad libs and they have so much chemistry, and you put them in an enclosed space and you just let them go for it.
Yeah.
And this one had a lot of those, a lot of beats of just the two of them where they're either trapped or they're in smaller locations. And it just allows that chemistry and comedic timing to just fly. As far as something that was just really unique, I love the ending of this one. Um, Again, it's just because of his whole bad luck aspect to it. I think it's just such a really unique hook. Yeah, I think it just really ends well. We also have on this one, like the supporting characters are also hilarious.
Yes.
One of my favorite sequences is that again, we're looking at ways to subvert this one. So there's comedy beats that we haven't seen before. So there's a usual Christmas party, but and Russell came up with this idea, the writer, but they're actually all sort of references to other Christmas movies.
Mm.
So Robert has a sister, and she's completely dressed like Will Ferrell and Elf.
Oh, and we've seen the Instagram reel of her
Yes, she's
running.
great. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Megan. Megan's hilarious. Like
Yes.
having Megan cut loose. Like she has wonderful chemistry playing the sister to Robert's character. But yeah, so having those references even to like oh, the Grinch, references to the funniest ones were like Die Hard, being a Christmas movie. So we kind of worked in a Die Hard reference. Also the two guys from like Home Alone being a Christmas movie, the guy that gets the
Yeah.
iron in the
Oh,
face,
yeah.
like Pesci and those guys.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
we have
yeah.
all those little references that again, it's sort of a little bit more of a pop culture melting pot, this one
Mhm. Mhm.
which again, I think being able to play with that, and that a lot of that comes out of Russell's dialogue, and somehow a lot of it cleared with clearances. So we were able to just get a lot more of that kind of pop culture comedy beats that I think again are a little more unique for this type of comedy.
So that's a good little Easter egg for everybody to be looking for all the little
Oh yeah,
hints dropped about the movies, right?
yes, exactly. So a little bit more name dropping, a little bit more making fun of pop culture and other Christmas movies. So those extra levels are something I haven't been able to play with before in these
Yeah.
Christmas movies. So for
Yeah.
me, that was like a breath of fresh air. So yeah, thoroughly enjoyed that. And it's great that the Hallmark execs were also on board. At one point, we were going to do a Hot Frosty thing, but that was like Netflix. So
Yeah.
at the costume party, we're gonna have the
Yeah.
guy all bare chested with his red scarf, but that got cut last minute, unfortunately.
So fans of Robert Buckley and Kimberly Sustad know that, and you mentioned this, they're both extremely funny in their own way, and there's a funny and a charm to Robert, and Kimberly
Oh,
has
dude,
this just subtle wit that just she just
so
drops it at
simple.
just the right
Oh,
time. So how did you work with the two of them? It sounds like there's a lot of comedy, but we're always looking for the rom-com part of it, that romance. How did you work with the two of them to make sure that that chemistry was happening between the two of them when they approached their comedy in different ways?
it's I find the romance in this because the character of that Kimberly's playing has a wall up. Like she's like it's a little heavier. I know we're talking comedy, but within this character, like her father had recently passed away. She's had bad relationships. She's a doctor. She's dealing with a huge caseload, and then comes big goofy like weatherman who keeps on having these accidents, who obviously has a giant crush on her with those doe eyes, and he just so it's interesting. So a lot of the romance in this one, I find it's quite nuanced. It's sort of the unsaid. It's the extra glances when the other character doesn't know they're being looked at. It's just like the elbows touching. It's like
Mm,
those little romance moments, but it's not as overt. And I think for me, that was again quite unique. So they could, like Kimberly's character could have this wall up, but it's when Robert's character isn't looking at her, when he's,
Yeah.
playing darts or cracking a joke, and that's when she's looking over at him and just really falling in love with him.
Yeah.
So I think those moments again feel more nuanced. So yes, we have like a lot more slapstick, a lot more fun, actual stunt gags in this. But I always know to keep the heart of it, and I think that that type of chemistry at that level, I think, is always needed to ground it. So we definitely made sure we got that, and they gave me that in spades. So I was in good shape.
And you mentioned that Robert's character, Ted, kind of has eyes for the doctor. You didn't share that this actually goes all the way back to high school, right?
Yes. Yeah. So we had a lot of fun with the production designer and graphics building a yearbook where and luckily they had a lot of pictures from high school. So we spent a lot of time on that actually. So
Yeah.
we have this moment where the sisters trying to set them up as well. So when they have the big costume party, they basically Kimberly's character shows up like an hour earlier. So they get to hang out together in their crazy costumes. And yeah, so going through that yearbook, I think just really kind of nailed it. So yeah, she was always the popular girl. She was always going to, he was a little bit on the nerdy side.
Yeah.
He was into Dungeons and Dragons. He didn't exactly fit in as much.
This
So,
feels kind of Can't Buy Me Love-ish, like from, do you remember that one?
I can't
Can't Buy
remember.
Me Love? Patrick Dempsey
Oh
and
yeah, yeah, that's old school 80s.
the nerd, going up
Yeah.
a little bit of that.
Little bit of that
A
going
little bit of
on.
that. So
Yeah.
when you're directing, and I know you've directed so many movies and a range of actors and their experience, and when we're talking about Robert and Kimberly, they both have so much experience doing
Mhm.
these types of movies. So how do you balance, like you're the director of this movie, but giving them their space to kind of lean into those things that they know and do so well?
Yeah, because they're veterans, we all look at how to elevate it, and you probably hear this from other directors as well. Once Hallmark signs off on it and we start to shoot it, Hallmark has so much trust in Kimberly and so much trust in Robert that the ad libs and line changes and how to elevate the dialogue and figure out the beats, all that happens through a creative roller coaster on the day,
Yeah.
which drives the scripty continuity completely, like off the rails because the scripty has to like track all of this because it comes so fast and furious with little moments and they're always trying to one up each other and to work in those comedy beats that it's again, it's quite the process for someone who's a writer being on set thinking, what are they doing to my
Yeah.
script? But they always make it better. That's the thing. And Kimberly, again, she knows what Hallmark is after and what I guess it's we say what Hallmark is after, but I guess in broader strokes, it's kind of like both Robert and Kimberly, they know what the audience wants and they're very tuned into the audience and to their fans and aside from have a complete understanding of their characters, they're very much focused on just giving the audience the best experience ever. And that's why, as I mentioned, it's when it comes to the dialogue and it comes to some of these scenes on the day when we're actually working on these scenes and shooting them, they're always being elevated.
Uh-huh.
And it might not be what's on the page, but we find these little magical moments of comedy or pathos or just like the emotion that you just never expect. With me, what I have to do, and I'm very much aware of it, I have to keep it on track. Uh, but at the same time, I have to give them the sandbox in order for them to play with complete trust. And that's for me again when the magic happens. So I guide, and help keep it on track. And also for my coverage and how I shoot it and everything else. But at the same time, like I said, sort of like it's understanding the play box
Yeah.
that we got, the sandbox, and how we can just really have fun with it. We have a
So
ton of fun on set.
as the director, then you are kind of that gauge who, when you're trying to balance the comedy and the sincerity in the story, you're that gauge that says, okay, we've got to kind
Yeah,
of lean back this way.
totally. Yes. Yeah, I'm constantly tracking that and making sure that we still have those payoffs, especially with the emotion. And that's
Oh,
something with Kimberly when I worked with her previously on a movie. Um, Oh, it was a Game of Love. That's an example of a script that actually didn't have like this big emotional beat, this revelation with the character, and we kind of all missed it. And when she tracks these, and she's also an incredible writer too, as we know, she's been,
yeah,
yeah, Three Wise Men and a
yeah.
Baby. That's like kind of like her
It's
series.
kind of hers. Yeah.
Yeah, I know she's co-written those. So her instincts are dead on. So she's very good at finding beats that sometimes get missed. And sometimes I find with Christmas movies, not to like harp on male writers versus female writers, but sometimes I feel that especially with female leads, it does help having that female voice.
Got it.
Yeah. And I think Kimberly, even though she's like the lead, even if it's something she hasn't written, she brings all this skill to those beats, and she thinks as a writer, and she thinks, what can we do to flesh this out? So she's really exceptional at that. And say for Russell, he's a great comedic writer, and his scripts are awesome. I think Kimberly especially knows how to elevate every script that she works on.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've talked about there's a lot of physical comedy mishaps that Ted experiences. And I know a lot of times you guys are shooting these scenes out of order. So as you're planning that out, how do you balance like, okay, we're going to have a little bit of, there's going to be a ladder injury here or this? Like, how do you balance that to where it doesn't feel so slapstick, but it still feels fun?
I know it's funny because obviously we don't want to show any injuries and mess up Robert's beautiful face. So, it's not like we can show the big poke in the eye or
Yeah.
we have to track a bruise on his forehead when this big box of decorations fall on him. But it is something that we keep it in mind. It's like the slapstick beats, even with Hallmark. There's one that we had a stunt double that went a bit over the top, and they kind of wanted to dial it back, but we knew it was so funny visually that we needed to keep it. So even like Hallmarks on this one, they asked, if we could pull back certain things. Sometimes I don't have the coverage to pull back on certain things because we have to
Yeah.
shoot so quickly. So if
Yeah.
we have like, again, Robert gets hit in the face with this giant Christmas tree, the stunt guy literally like, his legs flew through the air, and it was incredible and funny. Maybe not as believable, but it's such an incredibly funny shot. We had to keep it.
Oh, yeah.
Again, it's sort of like a combination. We want to keep it grounded, but this one, the slapstick, definitely was a for all of us. We were all quite excited by it.
So there was a lot of fun making this movie.
Oh yeah, so
Can
much,
you
so many
go ahead?
laughs,
Can
so
you
many
think
laughs
of
on it.
can you think of a moment where it came together so much that you're like, this is why I love directing these Christmas movies?
I think the it's a good question. Um, One of the gags that we did, which was the fall off the steps, was actually quite complicated. Like he's putting up decorations, and he's on this step ladder, and some of these sometimes I have to storyboard. It has to be very specific as to how we pull it off.
Okay.
So when we have like a bunch of decorations and they're sitting at the top of the steps, and he slips, that has to be pulled by a like a fishing wire in order for that to come down towards the lens, and the camera has to be covered with this Lexan, this clear plastic, so it doesn't harm the lens when it all dumps towards us. And the camera has to like drop down towards poor Robert as he's looking up because he just slipped and he's on his back, thinking he just, oh, thank God I'm okay. And then suddenly, no, you're not okay because now the decorations are going to fall on you. So you think it's one thing, and then I hit him with another thing. And that, to plan it out, for me, that's just cinematic. That's just filmmaking. So to be able to storyboard it and know exactly what I needed to pull that off, because it does involve a lot of different action, from special effects to also working with a stunt coordinator and then with Rob's stunt double.
Yeah.
So that I got a background of doing like sci-fi channel movies and action movies. So I usually don't get that opportunity to have beats like that in these type of Christmas movies. So I was in heaven. I love that stuff.
That is great. So you've talked about the cinematography, the stunts, and all of that. Was there a particular team that you kind of had to really lean into a little bit more for this movie to pull it off?
I think um I think the production design, like we shot this in the summer, and obviously as we know, that means a whole lot of fake snow, a lot of fake snow blankets and a lot of visual effects. This one relied very heavily on Heather. I mentioned the production designer.
Okay.
She's done amazing things. Like when we did that Miss Christmas Comes to Town, the script, it was a nightmare of a script because it literally was a bus driving through all of America, visiting 9 different towns, all with different night markets,
Hmm.
all winter, and we had to shoot it in July. Well, this one had a lot of challenges along those same type of lines. Like we have like having a giant bus pull up next to a bus station at night with snow, covered in snow. That's a big set dress to do that in
Mm.
July. But as I mentioned, this whole idea of the the escape room, and we had to, we had a built kind of set for that when they come into the escape room, and then to see what they ultimately have to figure out. It's like an assembly line of presents with like these poor elves that are worked to the bone, and this ominous voice of like, you have 10 seconds to comply, as they're trying to work their way through this almost a nightmarish steampunk Christmas,
Yeah. Yes.
which is so out there and hilarious. So again, how to pull that off, and it's incredible when you see what she did. It feels like a big budget Netflix movie to me. Um, this has a lot of big production value, which I always strive for that in my movies.
Yeah.
And I always work very collaboratively with the production designer. I think the last time we did that, it's the same company that did A Reason for the Season.
Yeah.
The Reason for the Season for me had a lot of work went into the aesthetic of the town and the
Yeah.
wardrobe, and it's actually quite a stylized, very cinematic Hallmark, and that's why I think it kind of looks different than a lot of Hallmark movies out there. It's you know what I mean? If
Oh, it
you
totally did. And and I know this the story itself is a good reason why it was over on Hallmark Movies and Mysteries, but I also think that the feel of it, it definitely felt more like that it needed to be on that channel as well. Just the
Yeah, it
feel of it.
was. Yeah, that was a beautiful movie, beautiful
Yeah.
cinematography. I was working with the same team on this one. Jenny Barnum, the producer, is fantastic. She also did that one. It's funny, you work with different production companies, and working with Jenny, I find every penny is put on screen. Every savings that we can get on certain things, let's put it on screen. And that's why this one, I think, falls within that. And not to toot our horns of what we can pull off, but I felt this one as well just feels very elevated, even though
Hmm.
the budgets are usually the same. And
Hmm.
admittedly, it's incredible what we do for not a lot of money. But
Hmm.
this to me also feels like that one did. This feels a little bit more big budget.
Yeah. Well, and even when you and I talked about Before Your Father Finds Us, those moments where they're in the woods and the explosion and all of that was so well done. I mean, it felt much bigger, than just your Lifetime movie. So,
Yeah, that's always my plan.
yeah.
What can I do to stand out? And I got to think of that as from a directing standpoint. So I always keep my shots very creative and work on that cinematic language that I always love to talk about. What can I do to make this special and stand out? And I think Merry Christmas, Ted Cooper totally does that. I do feel that when people watch it, it's going to be it's going to feel unique.
Love it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it'll be great to not only see the movie, but actually visually see the movie, right?
yeah.
So, what was your favorite moment in the movie to watch kind of all come together?
We have a scene. at night, and it's a tiny little scene, and there's no dialogue, and it's Robert Buckley, and he's sitting on this bus because his car obviously has bad luck, so his car dies on him, so he has to take this bus into a small town. And just the way it's beautifully lit, and he has like this really rough looking biker dude who's just sort of like sitting next to him, who starts to doze off and just kind of lean on his shoulder. And because his character has such a warm heart, he just looks over and smiles at the guy. And it just totally summed up for me in a nutshell what makes Ted Cooper work, why we love Ted Cooper so much. But again, it's a beautiful little scene. It's not long, but it's magical, and you'll notice it within the first 10 minutes of the movie. The
Yeah.
moment that I'm talking about that sums up his character with not one line of dialogue. And it's because he's so genuine.
Yeah.
He truly loves people and Christmas, and his positive outlook, even though he has horrible bad luck, is just such a wonderful, thing that I think I wish more people were like that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's great that that's early on. It creates that opportunity for us as fans to root for the character,
Oh,
right?
huge. Yes. Yeah, that was a little magical moment that for me stood out, but a very simple moment.
Was there a scene that made you laugh out loud? And I'm sure there were many while you guys were filming.
Oh, oh, so many, so many. It's funny because, as I mentioned, Robert's crazy funny, and so is Kimberly. But Megan, the sister, is her comedic timing is fantastic.
Yeah.
And when she first showed up on set dressed like Will Ferrell from Elf, you saw those little videos. It's like so cute and funny, and we just couldn't stop laughing. So every time she's on screen, we just love her to death. We do have a scene involving, as I mentioned, it's this crazy Christmas costume party, and it's really super whacked with references from all these movies, including Mean Girls. Even we worked in some Mean Girls stuff going on. Um, we have a break dancing, what's that, the kid from like, Ebenezer Scrooge. He has like his little crutch.
Yeah.
What's it, it's the little son, off Ebenezer. It's the guy that works for him from A Christmas Carol. We do a
All I have
version.
coming to mind is Timmy. That's all I have
Yes,
coming to
little
mind.
Timmy. We
Oh,
we have
okay.
we have little Timmy breakdancing,
Oh,
and that for me is just like comedy gold.
oh my.
Yeah.
Well,
Like I said, we totally pushed the comedy on this.
I think that Megan was in Winter Castle also, and she did not play a comedic character, but her timing and just coming in as the kind of like the outside girlfriend and just the role that she had to play, her timing was so good. So I'm excited to see her in this one.
Yeah, we got some amazing, amazing supporting characters. So like I said, the laughs and the emotion, it's all there. And as I mentioned, the some great cinematography. So,
Yeah.
uh, funny enough, this is going to sound kind of funny. My favorite DOPs in town, they're actually twins. So
Okay.
and they're identical twins. You can't tell these guys apart. And they worked together when I did, Reason for the Season.
Okay.
But we actually had to split them up. So I had Nelson, one twin on this one, and Peter Benson had the other twin, Graham, on his. So this was the first
Okay.
time the twins had to, we broke them up, and they were doing one show and I was doing the other. And we'd actually run into those guys while we were, because it was busy at the time.
Yeah.
So we literally were like at a location, and then up comes like another production bus, and out comes like Peter Benson and his crew. And it's just a big love fest because I love those guys so much, and we all work together.
Yeah.
So we were constantly, we were filming them exactly the same time. It's sometimes next door to each other. So that
Yeah.
was funny. It was
That's
it's
so funny because I saw their names and I wondered what that connection was with them having the same last names. I didn't know that they were identical twins.
identical twins.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
Do you have like a most heartwarming moment in the movie for you?
Oh boy. Um, Kimberly's really good at those. Usually it's the ending, which I think that to me always comes together. And yeah, it's usually the lead up to the, not to give anything away, say the kiss,
Yeah.
but again, the way that they played it as veterans, and the connection and the chemistry, I thought was a beautiful moment.
Okay.
That's always a big one for me. Uh,
Uh-huh.
yeah, I think for me, it's always the ending, how it
Oh,
always comes together.
that's why we show up, right?
Biggest heartwarming moment.
Is there a favorite small detail in the movie that audiences might miss?
Oh
You've
boy.
dropped a lot of Easter eggs already
Yeah,
for
there's
us to
so
kind of.
many. Yeah, you got to look for them. I think um, that Christmas party has a few.
Okay.
So, as I mentioned, the Die Hard one, uh, the Grinch, I think is one you'll definitely see. It's kind of like in the background.
Yeah.
So, and the costume designer went to town on that. So we have a lot of beautiful little references that are thrown in. And you'll notice that, as I mentioned, like that, a bit of that melting pot, that pop culture Christmas melting pot in this one. Um, let's see what else. Yeah, there's just like some really unpredictable wackiness to this one
Love
that
it.
I think everyone's going to be talking about.
I think we would expect that with Kimberly and with Robert. So
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
ready.
they're yeah, they're experts at that type of stuff.
So is there a scene from the movie that you think will stick with audiences the longest?
I think without a doubt, everyone's going to be talking about the escape room sequence.
Okay.
Yeah, that's again, that's a highlight. I've never had that opportunity to do something that completely out there in a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
So that is a standout. The Christmas party is a standout because, as I mentioned, it's like we worked very hard on how to take a scene which you think would play out one way, and then we completely subvert it.
Yeah.
And that I think was also a highlight. Um, we also have a crazy character. It's like who shows up in an Uber to pick him up, and that sequence is way out there and totally whacked as well. So again, without giving too much away, it's just very unexpected. So visually, it's just very different than what you would expect. So again, you gotta check it out there, Stephanie. I'll be curious your thoughts.
Oh yeah.
But we
Okay, well
definitely.
other than a good time, what do you hope that the audience takes away from Merry Christmas, Ted Cooper?
um, I don't know. Without being too heavy, I know that there's a lot going on in the world right now, and part of the goal that we all do, and we talk about it, Robert and Kimberly and I, when we collaborate, is wanting to give America a big hug.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's always the goal, and they take their jobs, and me too, like so incredibly seriously to pull that off, and to leave the audience with the warm fuzzies, honestly,
Yeah.
and a big smile. And I think I truly believe we pulled that off with this movie. And as
Mhm.
I mentioned, that's always our goal. But we take our, even though I talk about all the goofiness and fun we have on set, but that's sort of like, I think it's necessary to actually have a set like that in order to find the honesty in it all, and the
Mhm.
audience can tell. The
Yeah.
audience knows when we're having fun,
Yeah.
and that it's infectious. So yeah, I think it's all about the warm fuzzies at the end of it, and a big hug, big
That's why we
virtual.
show up for these Christmas Hallmark movies, right?
Oh, totally. I think we all do.
Yeah.
It's I think yeah, the market's there. I know like Netflix keeps on trying to copy the Hallmark model, and there's so many others popping up with all these streamers trying to copy that Hallmark magic.
Yeah.
But yeah, they got this formula worked out nicely, and it's great that they allow us creatives the room to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it keeps it fresh for you guys, I'm sure, as well.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
And because honestly, when I first started doing these, that was my fear,
Yeah.
was being given scripts that were too generic and too safe. And again, this is still safe and feel good, but within that sandbox, like I said, this one felt like we were able to subvert it a little bit more,
Yeah.
and sort of, I mentioned the bad boy of Christmas. Not to say we went rogue, but I think there's just a lot of very funny beats people will not be expecting.
So I don't want to let this one get by because I know that you're a pro at this. You've been you've covered the genres. You've had at least 12 Christmas movies. If you were advising a young director about making a holiday film today, what would you tell them is the most important decision they'll make?
Oh wow, no pressure on that, eh? Um, I think if it's with a Christmas movie, with a Hallmark movie, I think it's make a movie um, that will air on Hallmark, but not necessarily a Hallmark movie. If you overthink it and you think that you have to play within a certain sandbox too much, then
Mhm.
I think it's not going to be as honest.
Yeah.
So it's like you go into it like you're just going to make the best movie you can make
Mhm.
without any label, without anything, it's just the best movie you can make. I think that's ultimately the goal. So I find it's like when I do the amount of work I put into this is the same I put into an MOW. It's the same I put into an indie feature. This for me is the same process of doing an indie feature.
Mhm.
So I keep that magic and that outlook when I do these.
Well, we show up as fans for that consistency, like we don't want to be caught off guard that much, but we
Yep.
want that same freshness to the storytelling as well and what we see on the screen. So it's always nice to, what can we know is going to happen, but what's different and unique about this particular project. So that's
Yeah.
cool.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. That's a
So
good way
you've
to look.
done 12 Christmas projects. Has your idea of what makes a great holiday film changed?
Um, I find the last few that I've worked on, I think, have been a little bit more enjoyable. And it's I've grown as a Christmas director. So I can remember having to do one, and I don't want to get too much into it, but I always thought like I think the first one I did was probably the least appealing because it was a script that I just couldn't wrap my brain around. Not to give too much away, but it was like this beautiful, incredible Christmas tree that is growing in this guy's yard, and they end up cutting it down to place it in the center of town. And I just couldn't wrap my brain around why are they cutting down this like 300-year-old tree?
Yeah.
That's heartache. And and
Yep.
and the concept for me on that one, it's called A Christmas Tree Grows in Colorado. I just that was one that I was having a harder time with. And I think the scripts have been getting better, and that makes my job
Mhm.
easier. But I also have been from the first one to where I am now. It's also my confidence. I can remember doing one with Andrew Walker, and the execs were so busy that we're kind of left on an island, and we're trying to work this thing out. And Andrew he's a terrible yet incredible influence. Where he's like, "Listen, Jason, I know we can make this scene better." I'm like, "But yeah, I have no one to approve these dialogue changes." He's like, "I'll take the bullet. Let's just do it. Let's just do
I
it.
love it.
No one's gonna, Hallmark. I'll talk to the execs. We'll totally be okay with the way we're gonna like." And I'm like, "Okay." I trust you, Andrew, and it totally worked. And it was I think it was one of their highest rated Hallmark movies of the year. Um, but I had the confidence as it grew to be like, yeah, Andrew, you're totally right, and he was,
Yeah.
and that was part of that process. So I think earlier on, I didn't know that I had that much room to play, especially with the leads and getting an understanding on how well the leads
Mm.
know how far they can push it in order to elevate the material. Because, if you have a writer on set, you don't want to step on his toes.
Right.
Now
Right.
I'm like, yeah, doesn't matter.
It's a suggestion.
It's a suggestion. It's the writer. It's like we're elevating everything. Same with the execs. I think the execs trust now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And getting the first couple off the ground, maybe the trust wasn't there as much.
Yeah.
But I like to use that example of Andrew, where he was like literally the devil perched on my shoulder, whispering in my ear, "We'll be totally okay. Let's switch it up."
There we go.
And I loved him for it. He was, and I can't wait to work with him again.
Yeah, that is great. So we've got a few days before Merry Christmas, Ted Cooper airs. What
Yes.
is out of your Christmas movies? Which one comes to mind that we should go back and watch before we get to this one on Saturday night?
Ooh. Um, I think just because of the the pacing and the Nikki DeLoach always. I love working with Nikki DeLoach. I did one called Our Holiday Story
Oh, loved
last
it.
year. Yeah,
Yes.
that was, and I love the I love the energy of it. That had a
Hmm.
crazy energy, and everything was like a whip pan, like reading a
Hmm.
book.
Yeah.
You know, with because we're intercutting like two parallel stories of how they met, like how I
Hmm.
met your mother type of a thing.
Yeah.
That for me captured something special. But I think you know what I'm talking about. It just
Oh, yeah.
had an
Oh, yeah.
energy to, and it just put a smile on everybody's faces.
Hmm.
And yeah, that did crazy well actually.
It did really well. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's one that I think should always be. I would like to think is something that you can watch it a few times.
It's good. I would, yeah. And if you're listening, you can go watch it on Hallmark Plus.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was definitely, I watched that one, I think the night that it premiered. It was so good.
Yeah, our holiday story. So that's a big one. And the other one out of all of them, I think that's closest to my heart is A World Record Christmas.
Hmm.
That for me is the one that from an emotional standpoint, and again, Nikki DeLoach, it's like she's programmed to give
I
us.
started to say that one was Nikki as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was. And that was based on a true story. And that was
Yes.
a story based out of British Columbia with the this autistic teenager
Yeah.
whose superpower is that he can basically take a Jenga block
Yeah.
and he balances 1,600 Jenga blocks and goes after the world record. The emotion of that one, I think, is amazing. And that a lot of that had to do with the autistic actor we were working with, AIS. So that for me was very special and born out of a story that was a true story, and having him
Hmm.
come out on set, the
Hmm.
actual teenager was so special.
Yeah.
So out of those 12, I think those two are pretty special for me. Our holiday story and um yeah, yeah, World Record Christmas. And of course, A Reason for the Season, I think is the other one that I think is just
I mean,
eh,
I'm kind of a big Kevin McGarry fan. You brought it up. We'll go there,
so
you
many
know?
people love that guy. I mean, how handsome can you be? Like, he's just like a special effect.
Handsome, but also nice. That.
So incredibly nice. Like, just he's so laid back and fun on set. I find all of them actually on set just have such a wonderful energy.
Yeah.
And they're just very giving and just a blast to be around, and we have a lot of laughs.
Yeah.
But he's that was a good looking cast on that one.
Yeah, it was. It was a great movie all around.
Yeah.
All right. You want to play a quick Christmas game?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Favorite Christmas movie of all time?
Oh, I would say Home Alone.
Classic, right?
Hmm.
And we'll get to see a little bit of callbacks to that in this movie coming up, right? All right. Real tree or artificial
Oh, I like artificial. I got a
maintenance?
small place, so it's like I just love that you could just plug it in and there's no mess with the pine needles, and I got a
Low
dog.
maintenance.
Yeah,
Achieves the goal, low maintenance.
yeah, I'm all for that.
Do you have a favorite holiday tradition that you always stick to?
Ooh. Usually it's a box of after eights in a stocking. My mom and dad always gave me a box of after eights, so it's just a thing ever since I was like a kid.
I don't know what after eights are.
Oh, is that a Canadian
I
thing?
think it's a Canadian thing. If it's an
Yeah,
American thing, I was deprived.
after eights, it's basically peppermint, chocolate peppermint wafers.
Oh, well, I like a good chocolate and peppermint.
Yeah, so that's funny. I guess they don't have them in the States. Or it's either that or it's yeah, usually it's a box of chocolates, but the after
Okay.
eight is the thing that I've always had
Yeah.
constantly. Yeah, that's the
That's
thing.
awesome. Well, I usually make a list of all the things that when I visit Canada that I seek out and bring back to try it out. So at one point I got really creative and ordered on Amazon to order the gummies that you guys have in Canada that were
Oh yeah, the gummies.
they're
Yeah, yeah.
so good. Yeah.
That's-
If you could spend Christmas anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Oh, Hawaii.
So you're a Christmas in paradise person, right?
Course. Of course, Hawaii with some Christmas Elvis tunes playing. I would love that.
Speaking of favorite Christmas song to listen to on repeat.
Oh, grandma got run over by a reindeer.
This is
Yeah.
why you're the director of Merry Christmas, Ted Cooper, right? Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Classic.
So are you team Silent Night or team full holiday chaos?
I would say Silent Night. Now that I'm older, I like the chaos sometimes of like those crazy family Christmas parties, but I like the Silent Nights.
Yeah.
All right, what about you?
I like the chill. That's typically a time off of work for me. So
Hmm.
it's not only the holiday, but it's also don't work this week and I just want to
Yeah.
shut down and enjoy family and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I find usually with me, based on schedules, I usually work up till like the last few days before Christmas.
Mhm. Yeah.
So yeah, chill is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you could direct any classic Christmas movie, which one would it be and why?
Yeah, boy. Ah, Oh, that's a hard one. A classic Christmas movie. You
It
see,
doesn't have to be. You can break the rules.
okay, good, good. Gremlins. Gremlins technically is a Christmas movie.
It is technically. Have you ever been to Astoria, by the way?
Oh, is Historia where Goonies was shot?
Oh, that was Goonies. You're right. I always like Goonies and Gremlins. I feel like they had to happen within a year or two of each other. But no, you're right.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was channeling Goonies. Okay, go ahead. Gremlins.
Oh, yeah, Gremlins. I would say Gremlins as far as Christmas movies go. Um,
And I
yeah,
love
Die Hard's definitely a thing.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I know they're mostly like either horror or action spins on Christmas, but I can't shut that down. That's just
It's
me.
always the debate, is Die Hard a Christmas movie or not, right?
Totally.
Um,
Yeah, yeah, probably something that just puts a fun kind of spin on it, I think, with Christmas. But yeah, there's a lot of great Christmas movies without a doubt. Oh, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation is always,
Absolutely.
yeah. I do watch that like every Christmas. Probably
Oh,
more
yeah.
so than Home Alone, I think.
Yeah, it's a classic. I love
It's
the
a
classics. There's a reason why they are classics, right?
yes.
Jason, do you have any upcoming projects that we need to be looking for that you can share?
Um, I'm currently writing a Lifetime, so that's my latest gig.
Okay,
I just finished a TV series called Blue Skies,
I saw that.
and totally excited about that one. So it's a national park officer who teams up with a beautiful doggy, and they solve crimes. And I love dogs. So
Okay.
the way they worked it, obviously, I'm not working with one dog. I'm actually working with four dogs because they all have different skills on set. And that was in doggy heaven. They're lovable, a little bit too much like puppies. They're only a year
Okay.
old. A lot of the doggies that you work with on set, they're a little bit more mature. So these ones, early morning, you try to shoot something, and suddenly it's, oh great, the doggy's like goes into this. He has the zoomies, and he just does laps around us for like a minute until he tires out because they're dogs. But Blue Skies is going to be out, I think, on Up TV and possibly, I'm hoping, Amazon.
Okay.
So that'll be in February, I think. And I did
Okay.
two. I just completed my editing on two episodes.
Okay.
So Blue Skies
So it's a series. Right.
series.
Series. That's awesome. And
Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't show up in your pug Christmas sweater today.
Oh, yes, I probably should have.
Yeah.
But it's funny, I was should show it to you. I have when I worked on a couple of these movies, I get these pug t-shirts given to me. So when I worked on one called My Christmas Family Tree.
Yes.
Remember that one?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And this little girl, she and the parents, they made me a pug t-shirt.
Oh, it's great. It's I love that.
I was getting pretty good at it. Like I could do a 15-day shoot. Oh, you know what? The entire time I forgot to wear this. I was going to wear my humbug pug hat.
Oh, it's great. There you've got it
Yeah.
on. There we go. We'll snap a pic of
Uh, there you go. Yeah, I did have it beside me. I totally forgot to put it on.
that. So you think you've got enough pug shirts or sweaters
Oh,
for everyday
to do
filming?
you got it to do a 15-day shoot. I'm quite proud of that. Each one's completely different.
I love it. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Okay, well, where can everybody follow you to stay up to date on all of your projects?
Ooh, Instagram, Jason Bourque one, Bourque one. Yeah, I think Instagram's always good.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the main one. Yeah,
Okay.
Instagram. Cool.
Well, I want to remind everybody, first of all, that I visited a few months ago with Jason when Before Your Father Finds Us came out. So if you guys haven't had an opportunity to listen to that podcast, go check that out. I think you can still actually watch Before Your Father Finds Us on the Lifetime app. And I highly recommend it. It's so well done. Alexa Penavega, Tomo Pennicott, Jada Lily Miller, and Jason Bourque, who directed that one. That was such a good movie to see. Part of Lifetime's faith-based series that they did back in June. But this Saturday night, we've got Merry Christmas, Ted Cooper, which is going to air on Hallmark Channel 8, 7 Central, and then you'll be able to watch it the next day on Hallmark Plus. Jason, thanks so much for being here. It's always a blast to talk with you. You're always so giving of your time and celebrating your projects, and we're so excited to see the movie this weekend.
Oh, thanks, Stephanie. Yeah, thanks for having me on. I always love doing this and touching base.
Well, we're really looking
Anytime.
forward to all the fun to be had this Saturday night. Excited to check it out, and wish you all the best. So thanks so much.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks. Have a
Bye-bye.
good day.